Hi, I'm Angela Middleton. Thanks for clicking on the link. I want to talk today about running businesses and in the process transforming your body as well. I've been asked so much about this on social media and also on a day-to-day basis, and people have been so supportive as well and so encouraging that I would really like today to share some of the things that I've learned, some of the so-called secrets that I've discovered and how I've managed to achieve what I have in business, which amounts to over £100 million worth of turnover in my businesses in the last few years, and also losing 22 pounds of body fat in the process. So I've done that as well with no leg up, no sort of crazy fad diets or anything like that. Some very, very basic and consistent methods that I absolutely know to work. I'm gonna share all that with you today, and my goal at the end of it is that you come away from this session with some very clear strategies that you can implement immediately. That's my goal. And if you stay until the end and if you send us an email with some feedback, I can also send you the whole list of slides that you'll see popping up on the screen as we go through the talk. Who is this for? Well, a number of different people in different categories, ranging from those people that maybe are just starting out in their career. Alternatively, you may be midway through a career, maybe you're in a job, you're doing well, you enjoy it, but you're sort of feeling a bit stuck. You're wondering how you could get to that next level. Could you maybe double or even treble your income? If so, how could you do that? So maybe you're just sort of pondering over ideas, or maybe you're feeling frustrated that you've been trying to do that for a while and just haven't managed to do it. Alternatively, you may be thinking about starting your first business. We know that there's so much advice on starting businesses online, but where do you go? Well, I think it would be a good idea to go somewhere and listen to somebody who's actually done it. And so if you're in that category, this will certainly help you. And finally, you may already have started your own business. Maybe you've been running it for many years. It's a bit of a sort of what we call a lifestyle business, so almost like a job in a way. It's paying your overheads every month and maybe you're making a small amount of profit, but you're not feeling that you're really sort of building a business entity, something that you can keep sort of growing separately from you, give you some independence, and maybe other people may come along and invest in it in the future and make you lots of money. So it's for you wherever you are in that journey, really. As I say, my intention is that I can give you some really tangible things that you can take away and you can implement right now. So first, some background about me. Who am I? Why should you listen to me? Well, currently I run a number of businesses, all in the field of careers, but I started my career some time ago working for BP Oil as a new graduate at the age of 20, 21, and I spent 10 years there in that corporate world, learning various aspects of business, as you do when you very first start out. And I then moved to the Woolwich, which became Barclays, and I spent another 10 years there. And so in total I had a 20-year corporate career, where at the end of it I was actually reporting at board level and was able to observe firsthand the operations of the CEO, the chairman, and how things sort of started and stopped. And I although I enjoyed it and I had a great business background as a result of working there for those 20 years, I did a fair amount of travel and lots of different things. I started to get quite frustrated in the end that I couldn't make the difference that I wanted to, and I didn't feel that independence, and I felt really ready at the end of 20 years to start my own thing. I did do that. I started my first business in 2002, went through a number of different iterations of different businesses. They evolved from a straightforward recruitment company through to, we diversified into training and talent management and things of that nature. And where we are now is probably, by most people's standards, quite a large SME still. We employ over 100 people. We have a number of offices around the country, and I can run those businesses now pretty sort of hands-off, to be honest. I spend probably 1 or 2 hours a day on my businesses, if that. I have the freedom to do lots of networking, learning about the things that I'm interested in, and it's been very nice to me that my efforts have been recognised as well. I was recognised as CEO of the Year by the Business Brilliance organisation last year, which was lovely. I've also been recognised as a leader in the field of apprenticeships, and that's one of the companies that we have where we work with young people. The work that we did was pretty transformational with that particular market with young people, and we are the leading provider of apprenticeships today. When the businesses got to a point where they were up and running, I found that I was able to really pursue my passion for learning, and as a result of that I went and learned lots of business strategies from leaders really in their field. So as you can see here, there I am with the leaders of Goldman Sachs as the chief exec. There's also Michael Bloomberg there. I also was very interested in mindset and how that influenced business, and so you can see me there with Tony Robbins. And those of you who know Tony, I mean, he is an absolute, he says he's not a guru, but I do believe he is in the field of sort of motivation and mindset, and I've met Tony a number of times and talked to him and really learned, how you can sort of control your mind and how you can make things happen if you're clear enough. By the time I got to about 2015, I realised, because of the transformational work that we'd done, that we had something that really, really worked for young people, but we couldn't possibly give it to everybody in this 5,000, villages and towns in the UK that needed it right then. And so I wrote this book, How to Get Your First Job. That's first of a series. I have a second book coming out this year, actually, in November 2018. But this first book contains 100 tips on how to sort of take your first step on the ladder, but actually it's very relevant to individuals that are sort of midway through their career as well. So I'm proud of that book, and it's sold across the States as well as across Europe and even South Africa. It's regarded as a top 10 in its field, and we give it free to everybody who comes on our courses. And then leading on from that, I have a podcast series now on iTunes. I think we've just got to our 50th podcast, and these are 20-minute podcasts where I actually interview high flyers in various fields, and it can be everything from accountants to lawyers, from singers, actors, doctors, a whole range of professions, and I just ask them how they got to where they are, what it's like to do their job, and what they would actually advise individuals wanting to follow in their footsteps to do next in order to sort of do the same thing. That's proved to be very, very successful. People like it. We've had about 10,000 listens a week on that. You can get that free on iTunes. I've also been lucky enough to work with Richard Branson. I was asked to join his panel of advisors to help him decide which small businesses to invest in, and I've done that for 2 years running, where I've sat as the judge, if you like, in charge of entrepreneurship, and I've met literally thousands of small business owners as a result of that, listened to their pitches and helped Richard decide which of those he should invest in. I've had lunch in Richard's kitchen and have talks with him as well. As you can see me here, I received an award for doing that work. And again, very enlightening to talk to somebody of that calibre, and I learned a lot about business strategies from Richard as well. During all of this time, I underwent this sort of body transformation, as you can see here, and I mean it's still shocking and stunning to me now, the transformation that I managed to achieve. And that really was making a decision to get fit in 2016, following it through, and I will talk about some of the strategies that I implemented there. And I just had the amazing realization that the fitter I got physically, the fitter I got mentally, and then the better business went. So I'll talk about that. I am pretty prolific on social media. If you go into my Instagram, for example, you will see a whole variety of pictures of this nature, and I do talk a lot about mind, body and business. And for those of you who are familiar with the social media leaders these days, you can see there I am with Gary V. I spent a great day with Gary and his team, and he talked a lot about the different social media strategies that can help on the career side, so I've been able to implement that. I've also become very active on the political side, not to stand as a politician, but really in the last year I've been called upon to advise various ministers and MPs on the subject of careers. As you can see, I've met the Prime Minister a number of times, and I actually launched my careers manifesto in June this year, 2018, where I actually suggested that we ought to make careers advice available to not just young people, but to everybody, no matter where they are in their career. And we ought to give them advice from real people who are actually doing those careers. We shouldn't really rely on teachers, for example, to provide this information. We should make it accessible in formats that individuals want to use. So hence the podcast, so people can access that when they want it, in a format they want it. And we're doing a lot of work now within that careers manifesto, and we really are building traction there, and have a number of different champions sort of helping us really to sort of push that whole initiative forward. So that's been exciting. So overall, all of my business interests come under the banner of Limitless. That's why you're here on this page. So without further ado, I will talk about some of these strategies. I have done a lot of things right, but it has taken me a long time to do all of this stuff. In fact, it's taken me 36 years to get where I am. And just to recap, that was a lot of steps. It was 20 years in corporate. It was then 6 years starting my first business, growing it reasonably nicely, but then getting to 2008, 2009 recession and finding that it plateaued and actually some of the business failed. Starting again, this time though, working with a number of consultants, going on lots of different courses and spending literally hundreds of thousands of pounds, as well as a lot of time and effort and travel and everything, finding out all these new strategies. And then after that, coming back, implementing that at great length in my businesses and, sort of trying and failing and then trying and succeeding and sort of, trial and error basically is what you do when you learn new things. And then sort of writing the book and then creating the podcast, and in the meantime getting fit as well. So all of that has taken me 36 years, and it is a long time. And yes, I've enjoyed it, but what I've realised now is you don't need to spend anywhere near that amount of time, and that's really what I'm going to share with you now. There are shortcuts. Once you know this stuff, I have a blueprint now that really works in business, and I know that if you apply this blueprint, you can very, very quickly go from zero to a thriving business that's making profit. And I've worked with a number of people, and they've created a number of testimonials for me saying, how it's been transformational for them. The same with body. I know now what you have to do, no matter where you're starting, to get the body that you really, really want. And it needn't take you years and years and years to do it either. So that's what I will share with you now. So in summary, I've discovered all of this the hard way, and what I'm going to share with you, my lovely supporters on social media, and the fact that you're listening to me, is I'm going to share with you the easier way, the shortcut way. I wouldn't call it a cheat way. It's never a cheat. I think it's, if you are sort of, focused enough and clever enough to seek out information and then you go and implement it, you're certainly not cheating. What you're being is super sensible. And so, but what I am going to give you here are the shortcuts. So I'm going to give you the easy way to do this. When I say easy, what I mean is it's not going to take you 36 years. You will actually be able to emulate this stuff in 30 days or even less. It's going to be a massive shortcut for you, and it really consists of 3 main secrets. I'm going to tell you the first secret if you are ready. And the first secret is, and I know this sounds cliche, but it is to build a winner's mindset. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is to be aware, first of all, of the constant inner chatter that we have, which is limiting our ability to push forward and which is actually self-sabotaging. Unfortunately, we're all born with this brain that holds us back. There is science to it. There's a special name for it. We don't need to know that. You can look it up if you want, but effectively our brain is trying to protect us. It's trying to protect us from being eaten by lions and tigers. And now that there are none of those around to eat us, or most of us, what it's actually doing instead is it is drawing us back, keeping us in our comfort zone and doing everything it possibly can to keep us safe. And so what it says is, don't do that, you're not clever enough. Don't do that, you're too old, you're too young, you haven't got the right education, you haven't got enough money to do that, you're not pretty enough, you're not tall enough, you're not. This is what we tell ourselves the whole time. And it is just so limiting, and it's so easy for me to see it when I speak to people because I'm now aware of it. So that is the very first thing, is number one, be aware of the constant chatter that takes place in your head. And as soon as you do that, you're going to be shocked. We talk to ourselves sometimes in a way that we would never speak to our friends or even strangers in the street. And yet, we look at ourselves and we are constantly, if we're not careful, criticizing ourselves and stopping ourselves from doing something. I'm sure you've been in a meeting before where you've wanted to say something, but for whatever reason, you've been held back and you haven't said it. And then you've thought, I wish I'd said that now because, I did know the answer to that. Or, you've thought to yourself, I really don't look great today. I'm too fat, or I'm this, I'm that, I don't like my dress, or whatever it is. And you then see a photograph of yourself, maybe 6 months later, or maybe a year later, and you think, wow, I looked really nice then. We have a very warped perception of ourselves, and it can be so limiting and so self-sabotaging. And so what I want to let you know here is that number one, that happens and it stops you doing things for real. But number two, it is so easy to change it, because what you do is you just basically reverse it. And let's just take some of those examples. I'm not clever enough. Well, that's what Google's for. You don't need to know all the answers to everything now. Anything you need to know is actually on Google, whether that is how to start a company or whether it's particularly some detail about, the niche that you're in. You can find out anything that you want whenever you want at a click of a button. So worrying about maybe, not being clever enough, not having been to the right school. If you think about schools don't teach us how to be successful in our careers, do they? They don't teach us about how to be successful financially. No, it's not the school's fault because they are driven to teach us academics, and they do that very ably, but they don't teach us how to be successful in our careers. So it doesn't matter if you didn't go to the right school. It doesn't matter if you didn't get a particular set of qualifications. What matters is where you are now and what you're going to do next. If you think about the worries of, I'm too old, well, with the research that there is now, We have never ever been healthier than we are now. I mean, 20 years ago, people just weren't healthy, and people now are so much healthier. They're moving so much more. All the research shows that we're going to all live much, much longer than we have before. In fact, I've read research by Peter Diamandis that says the body should be capable of living to 157. So, the odds are that we're all going to live, if we stay fit and healthy, to in excess of 100. So you are not too old. In fact, wherever you are, you've achieved tons and tons of experience if you're midway through your career, and that can all be put to good use, because the more stuff you learn, the better you're going to be when you take the next step. On the reverse of it, I'm too young. I hear people saying that. Well, you're not too young for the same reasons. You've got all of that extra time, all of that energy, all of that drive and that passion to start something. And if you fail, well, okay, move on to the next. Use what you've learned to implement the next time. So again, turn these things on their head. I don't look right, I don't like how I look, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too that. We can change all of that. I'm going to talk to you about body. All of these things are momentary. Nothing is set in stone, and everything is in your control to change it. So if you just start to think about these as I say, I know it's a cliche, but if you start thinking about what you can do and focusing on what you can do, that is the first key step. It is the first secret. I know it doesn't sound mind-blowing, but the important thing is to do it. And it's not easy to do it, but if you remind yourself to do it every hour of every day, you will start to feel more and more positive. And the first thing that you have to be positive about is you and your ability to move forward. Very often I hear people say that they believe that success is for other people. They may not voice it, but they do think it. Absolutely wrong. Why is success not for you? Of course it is. You are totally entitled to be as successful as anybody else and more successful. It all boils down to what you want and what you're prepared to do to go and achieve that success. So it's all down to you. Be positive, have that positive mindset and focus on what you want and what you can do, and then do it. Having done the first secret, I'm now going to tell you the second secret, and I hope you're ready, because this second secret is very, very important, and I didn't realise how important and helpful this is. And it boils down to this: build a winner's body. Now, I know that sounds strange, and immediately it may conjure up the image of a bodybuilder, and if it does, then just dwell on that for a moment. I am saying, think about your body as a machine. Think about, what is important when you're actually doing something. You are doing something with your body. You can't expect this part of your body, your brain, to operate at optimal performance if this part and the rest of it is not. It's all part of the same thing. In the same way, this is a muscle, the brain is a muscle. And so, this is available to everybody. I'm not saying that you have to get to a point where you are going to be photographed in a bikini holding 2 dumbbells, as per the picture that you've seen of me. But what I am saying is that you can get to a point where your body is optimized and has the maximum amount of energy that it could possibly have, where you are jumping up awake in the morning, where you fall asleep immediately when you go to bed, where you are totally productive during the day, where you are feeling strong, energetic and infused, and you get stronger and stronger and stronger every day. Because I've actually done that myself, and I can absolutely tell you this is a key secret, because as I've built my body, my mind has got stronger, and it is no coincidence that my business has improved and grown as I've gone along. And when you actually run a business, or when you're holding down an important job, there are problems every single day. Of course there are. But when you have got a strong body and a strong mind, you are just able to cope with it so much better. If you think about it, moving forward and progressing in your career and in business is really just no more than a series of putting out fires and resolving issues and resolving problems. That's really all of what it is. We are all problem solvers in our jobs. And so to be strong enough to do that mentally and physically means that you're going to be able to do that quicker, and you're going to be able to get under, hurdles, around them, over them, and move to that next level.